And welcome back to another episode of Geek Centurions. This week, it's me, boy Eli.
Big Joe.
And we have something very interesting to talk about. Came out earlier, and we might have some more stuff to talk about if we need the time for it. But recently, as you guys know, we are fighting game fans, and we did hear about the Multiversus beta, I guess?
Well, the announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Multiversus was a game that was released, I want to say, last year.
It was released last year.
As an open beta. It was a Smash-like game featuring various characters owned by Warner Brothers. So you got your Bugs Bunnies, your
Batman, your Superman, your Adventure Time characters,
your Arya Stark,
Steven Universe characters,
Iron Giant's in there. So that's
and the best character of all, LeBron James. That still gets it, doesn't it?
A little bit. I mean, he appears how he does in Space Jam 2. So I mean, that's obvious tie-in. But yeah, Multiversus. It received a lot of hype at the time and definitely a lot of push. Mainly because, it's a game featuring Batman and Shaggy and all these other characters that are all owned by Warner Brothers, being able to just, fight it out in a Smash game, basically. Which, I thought was unique. It was interesting. Some of the character choices were definitely odd to me. I don't know. I mean, LeBron Jason's one thing, but Arya Stark is always just one of those options where I'm just like, if I recall, she straight up killed a man's family and then fed him to.
That is exactly what happened.
So I mean, is that
I'm
is
reading
that
up on some more of the multiverse stuff. Hey, go for it.
is that her super move? She just straight up just murders Bugs Bunny's family and just feeds Bugs Bunny his family. He's like, and then just gets his throat slit. I mean, if it's not that, then it's like, then what's even the point of having Arya Stark in here? I'm just saying.
Because she's a property owned by Warner Brothers. That's why.
It was rhetorical.
Yeah.
It was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. So it was a very popular game when it was announced. It was kind of like the better version of Nicktoons All Star, which was Nicktoons' version of Smash.
Yeah. While the Nicktoons version was Nicktoons All-Star Brawl was kind of bare bones. Heck, it didn't even have character voices at launch.
No, it barely had any music either.
Yeah, but that stuff got out over time.
And I heard that the gameplay was fine for that game, but it was just so devoid of content.
Yeah, and it felt like the opposite with Multiversus, because it's like, oh, they have all these characters, clearly more
free to play,
more production value and money in this project than the Nicktoons one, clearly. And they even had hey, we have battle passes or season passes, basically, that sort of stuff that you guys can mess around with and stuff. And it was it was an open beta, right? But then after a couple months, they had a season 2 of that open beta. And it just felt kind of off because that second season didn't have nearly as much content. And then after a while, I think the last character they added was Marvin the Martian.
I do think it was Marvin. I can't remember who it was, but I know at some point it was after LeBron James.
Yeah, after that, there weren't a whole lot of characters, and straight up just a little bit less of content, which led to a lot of people in the community just going, what's going on here? Are we ramping up to actual full release now, or
what's going on?
Because you got to remember, the game was initially leaked.
Wait, it was?
Yeah, I think I remember this. I think it was Hungrybox, the Smash player, released a video.
Yeah. About
a supposed Warner Brothers Smash game. And you can see various characters in there. And
oh, I remember this now. Yes.
Heck, Gandalf was in that roster.
Yes, was Gandalf in the main roster?
Yes, Gandalf was in the main roster.
Okay.
But he's not in the. He wasn't in the build of the beta.
Okay.
Which is interesting,
All right. Can I play Aragorn, son of Arathorn? Rightful king of the.
I was about to say, you don't know all that.
No.
There's no way you memorized all of that.
No, no, I did not. I was about to go into like some of the Game of Thrones lines, like the first of his name and all that shit.
I mean, can I play Legolas? You know,
just like slide with the shield in.
Yeah, just doing that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
The game was initially leaked, and that's what caused for a little bit of like, okay, what's this going to be about? And then then it started getting officially announced, and all that stuff. And yeah, recently, the team behind the Multiversus put out a video saying that they were essentially taking the game offline. I think what they mean by that is that there's no online play. I think you can still play like offline, essentially.
Yeah,
like
with some
local.
pals and shit.
Yeah. But for the most part, the game essentially is going back, like, in the oven, essentially, and it won't be, like, fully released until 2024.
Mm. Yeah, and I, like many others, were like, wait, it was in beta this whole time?
Yeah, it's one of those games that is in beta, but, like... It's like a lot of I think like early access games where they they're in early access, but you can just straight up just pay money to like get a bunch of stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
like I can't think of one off the top of my head that was kind of like that, where it was just in open beta. Like it was technically in open beta for so long that it's like once it actually fully releases, it's like, wait, what? It wasn't already out? I think Splitgate, this shooter on Steam that was a mix of like Halo, Arena Combat, and Portal.
Yeah, I remember
gameplay.
This game.
I think that had a similar like out for a while in beta, and then it got an actual full release. It's like, wait, this game was in a beta this whole time, which it's. I feel like that's starting to become a bit of a trend in the gaming industry.
Yeah,
where you just release a lot of these games. In a beta state, just to get the word of mouth out of like, hey, this game is cool, try it out for free, and this open beta, blah blah blah, and then that gets you sort of the player base or whatever, and then you can like actually fully release the game essentially.
Yeah. And what really threw me off was the fact that it was. So this is for me personally, right? Because I didn't really play Multiversus. I don't really follow it. I'm mostly just very much Smash Bros. Only kind of guy. Because, like, I already put so much time to that. Why wouldn't I continue following it? But the fact that it was in beta this whole time, and how much money people have put into it, it's really, like, made me go, like, wait, so you mean to tell me this game wasn't released? And yet people were paying stuff? Which, again, like, isn't that out of, out of idea, but the fact that it was this whole time, this was not a full game. It was still in beta, and now the question is for me is like whether or not those purchases would, continue on into when the launch game comes out.
I believe they did say that that they will carry over to the full release of the game.
Then that eases a lot on me for those guys, because I would feel really bad if they didn't.
I mean, that would be highly like a dick move.
That would be the biggest one.
Like the only times I think stuff like that never carries over is when I'm pretty sure when Halo Infinite had its open beta stuff, or like had its beta, they gave out like a certain amount of credits so that you could like actually purchase stuff and like try out the game store, like the in-game like store. But when the full game came out, like that stuff didn't carry over, essentially because it's like we just wanted to test that out, make sure the system's all working. You know, like you can't buy anything. We just giving you some credits so that you can mess around with it. In this case, obviously, it's like, oh yeah, you use real money, blah blah blah. But yeah, no, I think what's super interesting is like with Multiversus is that it had an initial hype, right? Like, it was clearly seen as, like, a better Nicktoons with much higher production value and all this other stuff. And, like, it had a lot of hype to it. And then, you start to see, like, a plateau and then just, like, a sharp decrease of, like, attention to it. Because And there's a lot of like theories as to like why. I think the biggest one is just the lack of content after a while, especially after I think their second season, where it just felt like there wasn't a whole lot to do. I think they even I think technically.
I also don't think there was much of a scene for it too.
Like a competitive, yeah. I think they did hold like a tournament or two in the early days when the game's beta came out.
Because wasn't there an Evil Pot? Sounds familiar.
Maybe. I don't think. I don't know. It might have been a side tournament at that year's Evo. I don't remember.
Yeah, no. I remember something. They did something with Evo. I do remember something like that. But to your point, it's just there wasn't a lot of like support, a lot of reasons for people to come back for the game.
Yeah, like after a while, it just like content stopped coming out, so I guess players stopped playing because after getting that final like battle pass done or whatever, you don't really have much left to do except for playing online and stuff. Which I mean, yeah, for some people that's fine, but for others who I guess like knowing that the competitive scene I think was also sort of dying around it, then it's like, what's even the point of me playing the game to get better when I can't put those skills to use in a tournament? Like it's just like, okay, well, I mean, I guess I'll just stop playing the game then.
Yeah. It's, I mean, yeah. I feel like the just the lack of really support. I don't want to say just from the developer side, because I feel like they're trying to make sure there's at least an update going on, all this stuff. But the community itself, I don't think has been there strongly enough to support it. If I'm making any sense. And it's really strange because Multiversus is very popular, especially with a lot of people who are looking for something that isn't Smash Bros, right? And it was so popular the fact that it won Video Game of the Year. I mean, Fighting Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Yeah, which shook everyone because it's like, one, no one thought it could do it, even though it made the most sense at the same. When we did our thoughts on it, it made the most sense because it was the most, user friendly one out of all the fighting games, minus Sifu.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. But also, I think it's funny now that we realize that it's a beta, and the beta won Fighting Game of the Year.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Criteria for that stuff is always interesting, because remember, Among Us was nominated for Best Mobile Game of the Year, even though that game technically came out like a couple years even before it was nominated. And normally they usually only reserve that stuff for games that are at least nominated for that year or from the previous year that they weren't able to get nominated.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you get weird stuff like that. But no, I definitely understand, and that Multiverse was popular enough to win that award or whatever, and it's just that I think, from what I understand, that it does seem like, I think the rumor going around, I'm not sure if it's been actually confirmed or if it's just like it seems like that might be the case, where the development team for Multiversus was a small team, and I think the other reason as to why it's getting sort of like pushed back and getting set for like a 2024 release date, like actual official release, is because the team is small, and seeing the response to Multiversus like initially is like, oh, okay, then there's a lot more
there's a lot more things going on here.
a lot more players that we've accounted for, and now we have to adjust for that stuff. And now we know that, hey, listen, if we're gonna be a live service game, like a free to play Smash Bros like game, we need to increase output. And with this size of team we have, maybe we can't do that. So maybe it's time for a bit of restructuring, get some more people on board.
And I think that makes the most sense as to why we're not seeing this game for what is it, another year, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. Like when you really think about it, when in that open beta release, it felt like a full game, right? Like everything.
Yeah. There's a reason why I was surprised to find out it was a beta.
Yeah, because it feels like all the pieces are there. It's just like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I guess sort of like the lack of like content was probably the only thing. So now it's like, okay, because I don't even know if there was like technically a story mode to the game.
I don't think there was.
It just seems like you can just play against your friends and all that stuff, and that's it.
Might have been an arcade mode or something.
Probably, but not like a full on like, hey, here's the whole story and background as to why all these characters are coming to fight each other, and not just a thinly veiled attempt by Warner Brothers to just look at all the IPs they have and just say, fuck it, throw it into a bin.
No, I mean, that's part of it.
I mean, that's definitely the reason. But,
Yeah.
They want to be, they can't be that cynical.
No, they can't. There's so many people. But, yeah, go ahead.
No, but, and I think there is like a third maybe reason as to why some of this, like at least why there's been a lack of content. Is the potential, the recent stuff going on with Warner Brothers, being merged with Discovery, and obviously that led to a lot of restructuring, like scuttling of like a lot of like animated shows on HBO Max, as well as like all the other things. So maybe when it comes to Warner Brother Games, the publisher for Multiversus, part of it was just like, hey, we're not really sure where we want to go with this game, so don't really do anything until the higher ups sort of decide what the hell they want to do with the game, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's like a reason as to why there was like such a lack of content for a while.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that because like it a lot of weird stuff has been going on with Warner Brothers Discovery. A lot of weird stuff, but like it looked like the game division wasn't affected. But for all we know, it might have been.
I mean, yeah, like I do know that like heck, at least when it comes to the Warner Brothers game division, that there is a new Mortal Kombat coming, and but that was like announced in an investors call.
It just like dropped out of nowhere. Even at Buna, but like, cat's out of the bag, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like one of the things like, oh, I want to like, let's try to like, be coy about it. Let's try to like hype it up. Like maybe it is coming out this year, maybe it's not. But then just an investor calls like, hey, oh yeah, we're having Justice League Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, and the highly anticipated Mortal Kombat 12 coming out later this year. That should be fun for us. And it's like, everybody at NetherRealms is like, why? But no,
it's such a like a corporate thing too. Like, oh yes, we're gonna have this and that.
Our quarter is gonna look great at the end of the year, guys. Just fantastic Q4 sales. We're gonna do all about that stuff. Which
it could have just said like, yes, I knew the NetherRealms game was coming out this year. That would have been fine. I
mean, I guess. Yeah, but at the same time, like it's an investors call, and the investors who put money in like these companies and stuff want to know like, okay, but is it like gonna make us money though? And it's like, well, Combat 12 is like, okay, I heard that makes a lot of money. All right, that's good.
I've seen the movies.
I see movies. Movies good.
Yep.
But to get back on topic here, basically there's been a sort of there seems like there's a lot of reasons as to the potential like stuff going around with multiverses. I feel like we can't really put the blame on one thing. It feels like it's just a multitude of factors that just sort of led up to a lack of content. I mean, in the game, thus leading to lower player numbers. To then maybe that's sort of the reason as to why the team has to like is taking this sort of year of like going back, adding more things to the game, maybe even more new characters and all that stuff for a 2024 release date. It's just very intriguing.
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of the like it just feels like very off because it's just I think that rarely happens with a game, you know, where it's like this close to essentially being like out, like you know, like straight up, like it felt. It's like what you said, right? Like the game, like straight up felt like it was already released.
Yeah, no, it's the gameplay I've seen of it. I'm like, oh man, this looks like a fun game. I just don't have the time for it. But also the fact that it was free to play and it didn't like click to me like, oh, it's probably a beta, but no, it's gonna be free to play even on release. So that's why I was like, oh, it's out now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think a lot of people also talk about whether or not about the game is that it's free to play, right?
That is sort of the other interesting note from Multiversus. It is a free to play fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of those out there. I mean, Killer Instinct is probably like the other one I can think of off the top of my head, you know. But
most people don't know about Killer Instinct like that.
Yeah, but I would say like it's also a different payment model.
Yeah,
I feel like
because Multiverse is very much season pass. All the stuff you kind of see with like stuff like Fortnite, Apex, Halo right now. I think also
pretty much any sort of major AAA game that has like on a multiplayer function has like this battle pass, system.
Well, like something like Killer Instinct didn't have a battle pass; it had like a season pass, which sounds the same, but it's not really. It's more like you have a choice to buy all these characters for the season, but you can if you just want one of the characters, you're fine.
Yeah,
and then it's really cheap.
Yeah, like Killer Instinct did sort of a whole thing, a thing of like, hey, you can pay for like $20 for all the characters that come out this season, or if you want, you can pay for each individual character for like I want to say it was like $5 or $6.
It was around $5, I remember.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so eventually, essentially, you're buying. You can buy all the characters for like a steal.
Yeah, and then you could pay. I want to say
it was an extra $30. It was an extra $10 for like costumes and shit.
Yeah,
and it was stuff that you can easily just unlock without a problem. So it's like depending on you how you want to spend it. So like every season was like $20, and it was only like 3 seasons. So that equal to like $60, still full game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember you could pay like even more for like straight up like ports for KI1 in season 1 and KI2 in season 2.
Yeah, that was on part also about the extra $30.
Yeah, and like that's straight up, and they had functioning online too, which was like I think the cool part. I don't know if anybody still does that. If anyone still plays the original Killer Instinct online on Xbox.
I think it's on the Rare Replay games.
Maybe, who knows? Yeah.
Which again, can I just say, goddamn, Killer Instinct did such a good job with that last shit.
Yeah, you could argue it was a forerunner to a bunch of like it was kind of ahead of the curve when it came to a lot of these sort of like things we would see in online gaming and stuff, especially for fighting games. Because I know similar things were kind of done for I know Street Fighter V with Fight Money, which was like their in-game currency.
Yeah.
You could like do it by doing challenges and various other things, and you can like eventually accumulate enough to buy a character whenever they came out.
Yeah.
Or you could just do the normal thing and just buy the season pass and when the character came out. You would get all the characters for that season. It was a kind of a similar process, but it was less direct.
Yeah.
Because KI, you just use regular money. Like, you just use your, like, actual money to do that.
And again, if you decided to go for the season pass, it was kind of a steal. But anyways, back to Multiversus. So that was always sort of like a reason for a lot of people to check it out, because it was a free game, basically. And really, all you had to spend on was, like, the season pass. And now that you can get, like, costumes, characters, right? I'm not sure.
I think the characters are free.
Characters are free? Okay.
I think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah. But that's kind of the thing about Multiversus now. And it's sort of one of the best positives that game has, along with the gameplay and the direction and everything about it. With it being now closed, is gonna give now. Are we gonna see any changes to that? Not. I don't think they're gonna change the free to play, but I think is there gonna be any changes to like gameplay wise?
I don't think. I think if anything, there'd be more balancing of stuff, more than actual like gameplay changes. Because I feel like for the most part, the gameplay was probably fine.
Yeah,
the game definitely sort of leaned into more of like a 2v2 style format. Heck, I think I remember those early tournaments were just that. They were
yeah, it was heavily promoted to be 2v2.
yeah, which I think was supposed to be like the main like difference between it and Smash Bros. Because while there's like doubles in Smash tournaments, like there's like doubles tournaments in Smash, like most people will just like gravitate towards the like the 1v1. And heck, obviously, even Smash Ultimate itself had that stuff because in a 1v1 setting, you would have those little like updates, you know, after you lose the stock, where it's like, you know, like 2-1 for stocks on the little screen there. So you know, there's that. But yeah, I think for the most part, I think most people were fine with the gameplay. There's probably maybe just a need for balancing out various characters. I'm gonna assume there were some characters that were considered top tiers and broken, and hope that like, you know, when the full game was gonna come out that they would get patched. But now that, you know, it's gonna be till 2024, then it's like, okay, then probably yeah, maybe maybe those characters will get patched, or any of the high tiers essentially, because I don't know much. I'm just gonna assume Superman was OP because that's how Superman usually is. So
I heard he was.
Yeah, so you know he's gonna get his wings clipped. You know.
And who else was pretty OP? I heard LeBron James was pretty good too.
Well, I mean, I think Bugs Bunny, I remember hearing, was actually kind of broken. Like he had a game-breaking glitch.
Oh shit!
I don't know. That was early in the game though. I'm not sure if they actually fixed that. I'm assuming they did. But yeah, you know, it's a lot of interesting things going on with Multiversus. And it's just very unprecedented that you would just take a game that's in an open beta state and just straight up be like, all right, now that the open beta is done, we're heading back into development. We won't be seeing you guys till next year. So, you know, have fun with that. And it's like, well, that's certainly interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think that's about it. All I got to say. You have anything else we can talk about? Gaming wise?
Well, I mean, gaming wise, there is. I guess we won't talk too much into it. But just another like little anecdote. I think more recently.
Yeah.
Because I think the Multiversus news has been out for about a week, I think. But this has been more recently, where The Last of Us Part 1 was released on Steam on PC, I think, earlier this week.
Now, was it the remastered or was it the original?
Yeah, it's the remastered.
Okay,
that's why I say Part 1, not just The Last of Us. Because the new like PS5, or you know, like the new like next gen update of The Last of Us is titled Last of Us Part 1, just that way it's like fits narratively with Last of Us Part 2, you know, like, you know, title wise.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, just to get into a quick mini rant, I just find it weird that this game came out on PS3, and then like a year after it came out on PS3, when the PS4 came out, it had a PS4 remastered version called Last of Us Remastered or whatever. And then friggin' for the PS5, they remastered it again just for PS5 graphics. Like, just like, I don't know, I'm just like, come on, Naughty Dog.
Can you just make another game?
Like,
well, they aren't.
This feels a little like milking the cash cow. Like, I feel like you guys don't feel good about this. I feel like, I don't know, man. It just feels wrong. Like, I feel like The Last of Us feels like it should have more prestige. It feels like a game that has more prestige, and therefore shouldn't be beholden to like having to be constantly remastered.
That's a fair assessment. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, no. The Last of Us Part One.
Yeah.
You know, like the new version of the game gets released on PC, and from various reports, it has not been performing well on PC. Not sales wise, game
Game
wise.
wise, oh god, I
Well,
saw images and I was
well, I
like,
guess to be fair, sales wise, probably not performing well because the game is running so bad on PCs.
I saw images and I thought they were jokes, but then like I thought they were like someone was modding it to look like that or
Oh.
something. But I was like, no, this is how it actually looks. Like, oh god, this is terrible.
Yeah,
Oh god, this is supposed to be next gen.
Joel's having some weird.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Jeez.
not great.
No, not great at all.
But yeah, you know, and obviously the big controversy of that is just, hey, why the hell is this PC version so bad? Like, what the hell happened here?
So, okay, so this is gonna sound kind of off topic, but I do have like a good example of this, right? It's whenever you upscale like something, just because you're upscaling it doesn't mean it's gonna look better, especially since like you're working in a different like program, right? So the best example I have like this is like whenever you watch those videos or of like upscaling animation, it kind of takes away a lot of the sort of, like it was never meant to be upscaled that way, right? You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. I think we've talked about this once before.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of like these like AI upscaling of things to make them like 60 frames a second.
Yeah, when they're not designed to be that way.
Yeah, you take like a 24 frame animation and turn it into 60 frames, and it just causes some weird like weird graphical like tears in it. And yeah, I think you're on the right track on that, where there has been sort of like an increase of games that have come out, especially on PC, where they run very bad on PC. But part of the reason is that the games were mainly designed like they're not good ports.
No, they're not.
Like there wasn't enough like attempt, I guess, to like make sure the game was ported and optimized correctly for a PC build. Like, and I'm pretty sure for the Last of Us Part 1, it was mainly, you know, designed for the PS5 and optimized for the PS5's hardware. And granted, not all PCs are going to run like a PS5. Hell, probably there's already PCs that run shit way better than a PS5. That's sort of the whole reason why, you know, PC gaming culture is the way it is. You know, it's like, oh, you plebeians, we sit here on our ivory towers playing games at like 200 frames a second on our like 4K monitors or whatever. But, you know, with our 480s graphics cards, you know, that's the stereotype, right? But for whatever reason, there's been I don't know what exactly has been going on, but I think it's definitely a lot of companies, for whatever reason, have just not been, I guess, nailing down optimization of PC gaming. You know, they don't take the game that's. I'm guessing, I don't know if it's just a lack of time or a lack of resources to like properly optimize these games for PC, because The Last of Us Part 1 is not like the first time this has happened. I can't think of other examples, but I know for a fact there have been
No, yeah, you're right, because I'm trying to remember some of them right now.
There have been games that have been put onto PC that work fine on consoles, but for whatever reason the PC version just sucks ass.
So rare for that to happen, I'll be honest.
Yeah, but again, it's because they're not getting optimized for the PC experience. You
So
know?
there is one recently that I was talking to our buddy Daniel about, was the Persona 3 port. How that one's actually kind of a really bad port. It's just it's missing a lot of stuff. It's not running as well as it should, and that's technically the PSP port. But yeah, no, that's one of the games that I think of off the top of my head. But it's not, you know, just to Steam, but it's also to any other versions. I'm trying to remember one exactly off the top of my head, but yeah, it's kind of funny how this is a thing where the PC players are usually very hyped because they can run a game. Because that's the charm about PC gaming, right? You can run it at any kind of way you want it to be. You can modify. You can, I wouldn't say modify, but you can like change the way the game runs to fit your needs, right? That's the idea of PC gaming, right? Where as console, it's kind of like you get it as it is, right? Um, but now it's like you can't even do that because the port of this game isn't really that good, and it's kind of like the really sad fact about that. Now, like we just talked about, Last of Us might maybe the Last of Us Part One might not be the first, nor will it be the last. But it's more on the developer side. Like they didn't do as good of a job as they should have. Whether now we don't know why. Maybe just they're. I don't want to say they were incompetent because I don't want to say that about people I don't know. But maybe it's because like there was a mistake. Mistakes happen. We're all human. I'm always been that kind of guy. So maybe it's something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, one of the I think it's like how I said it. Like it seems like a lot of these game companies just don't seem to have the resources or the time to like put an effort to making a good PC port. Because I mean, to be fair, yeah, PCs specs can vary between various builds and stuff. Some might have the power to run certain games, some don't. But at the main, at the end of the day, that's why you have like these sort of like lists of like these are the minimum specs you need to run this game at like maybe at like lower settings, the required, which is like or like the recommended, where it's like, hey, if you want a game to run like at least maybe like at 60 frames on like medium settings, this is what you want, and like anything beyond that should run the game like amazingly well. And sometimes that just doesn't happen, or rather, it does happen. Like, and you're just sort of like left in the bin of just like, what the hell? Why does this still suck?
Yeah, it's really bad for everyone involved. But they'll be able, I think they'll be able to fix it.
No, yeah, they're definitely. I'm pretty sure Naughty Dog came out and said like they're working on to see what the hell's causing the problems, what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think looking at it, I'm pretty sure.
And it's right off the heels of the show too.
Yeah, which is kind of friggin' crazy, right?
Yeah, because that was a really good adaptation. They changed a lot apparently. I didn't know because I never really played Last of Us, but from everything I heard, it's like yeah, they changed some stuff here and there, but it's like really faithful, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like that. But if Naughty Dog, I know Naughty Dog has to fix it because like they are very proud of The Last of Us, like so proud of that. Neil Druckmann is super super proud of that, to the point where might not even get a third game because it's like why what is the point? The game feels like it ended nicely enough, and I'm like, sure, dude, it's your game. You do what you do.
Okay, so I did look up some examples, and I think the one I actually do remember this because a friend of mine played this game on PC, and he definitely mentioned some issues of like the game crashing sometimes, and it was Nier Automata. Nier Automata had a PC port, and apparently it was pretty bad.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and from what I do remember talking to my friend about it, and he was very much like, I'm trying to play the game on PC, and I get to like a certain mission, and it just keeps on crashing. Which is just like, I don't even know how that happens. I'm like,
that sucks. Did they fix it?
I'm pretty sure at this point it was fixed because I think the PC port came out back in 2018.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure it's already been fixed. But
yeah.
I don't think he ever finished the game because of that.
That's sad because I heard it's a really good game.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been around. Like, I think it is sort of.
Anime back? I remember there was an anime. I think they put it on hold.
It might have. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, I did look into a bit more with the Last of Us port.
Yeah.
Very interesting that they had Iron Galaxy helping out with the PC port, which, if you don't,
it all comes back to Killer Instinct, guys.
Yep, Iron Galaxy was the developers that took over for Killer Instinct during after season 1, because the original developers, Double Helix,
got bought out by Amazon
to make games for them. So Iron Galaxy took up the helm and sort of continued on Killer Instinct.
Yeah,
and they're a company that they do their own games, but they also do a lot of stuff in terms of helping do ports and stuff.
Yeah, they ported the Darkstalkers collection a while back, and they also did the Street Fighter Third Strike Online Edition.
Yeah, we're
fighting game fans.
Yeah, they do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, don't know if it was just on Naughty Dog or on Iron Galaxy that might be the blame, but this is also, a thing about these ports is that, where I say what I mean, where, maybe they don't have enough time or the resources.
Yeah.
So, they literally have to bring other game studios that have knowledge of doing stuff like this, of porting stuff, to help them make sure everything runs right. Because heck, I forget what the game, what studio or company was worked on the Doom port for Switch, but they knew how to make that shit run on Switch. They
figured it out.
Yeah, that's.
You're talking about 2016 Doom, right?
I think 2016 Doom for Switch. Yeah. They figured out how to make that stuff run on the Switch. There are companies like that are willing to go that extra mile and trying to make sure everything runs right.
Yeah.
And I think in maybe this instance, maybe again, not enough time or not enough resources were put into the PC port, and that's why it came out like shit.
That's probably what it is. But anyways, I think it's a good place to end the episode. If you guys enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're most likely on Instagram. And be sure to follow us through our link tree to where you'll find on all the podcasts that we're official part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora. And a link to the YouTube will be found there, so all you audio listeners can help us out. Be sure to comment, subscribe. And we have a Patreon just there to help us out. But anyways, so, sorry. I'm running on a bit of low sleep today. Yeah, but hopefully they'll fix that port, and hopefully when Multiversus comes back, it comes back swinging, because that is a very fun game that everyone wants to play again. Because I know some people who played it and they're really liking it, but there's just a lot of stuff for them to do.
Yeah, and the Last of Us thing, hopefully that gets resolved, because Last of Us Part 1 is a good game and should be enjoyed by all, even the PC folks, and it kind of sucks for them that their
I'm not
version.
gonna lie, I could have sworn there was already a PC port for Last of Us.
No, I don't. I am pretty sure it's not, because I'm pretty sure it's been the initiative Sony's been doing recently of porting some of their higher profile games to PC. Yeah. Obviously started with, I think, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, and I think now it's Last of Us.
Yeah, but hopefully, it gets better. Anyway, guys, me, your boy Eli.
It's been me, Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.